but people say it's downloading money from the internet. Entrepreneurship gives you that sort of freedom to implement your own ideas. Everyone was thinking it's a drug dealer's money and things like that, to the point where we say, yeah, we have to do a crypto reserve in the US. Like some hackers, they literally even receive money on the wallet that is a deposit wallet on the exchange, so they can quickly cash out without being even like labeled or something. No, I'm very demanding.
Okay. Hi, everybody. In this episode, I talk with Lex Fisun, CEO and co-founder of Global Ledger, a blockchain analytics company helping banks, crypto exchanges, and law enforcement fight financial crime. We get into how hackers move stolen funds, what really happens behind big crypto hacks, and why reporting quickly matters. We also talk about Lex's environment in Marbella, Andalusia, in the south of Spain. How is his journey as an entrepreneur, leading a company through war, and also found out that he flies small planes just around Marbella. So enjoy this episode of Europe's podcast, Spain. Hello, everybody. This is Yochailam with Europe's podcast, where we talk to entrepreneurs who are making it happen, and this time in Marbella, Spain. Now, get ready for an inspiring conversation with Lex Fisun. Lex is the CEO and co-founder of Global Ledger, a blockchain analytics company specializing in risk intelligence and financial crime prevention. With a background in finance, he entered crypto already in 2017 and quickly shifted to building compliance solutions after recognizing the industry's needs for better transaction monitoring. A self-taught developer, Lex wrote the first version of Global Ledger himself, creating a real-time risk detection and platform now used by government agencies and financial institutions worldwide. He's an expert in blockchain security, AI-driven compliance, and crypto market dynamics, with deep technical knowledge of smart contracts, cryptography, and risk analysis. So, hi Lex, thanks for coming on Europe's podcast. I appreciate you taking the time today for all our listeners.
Hey, thanks for having me. And this was a very cool intro, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. So, tell us a bit more about yourself and your current business.
Yeah, look, we do blockchain analytics, as you said, for the banks, for crypto exchanges. They have obligation by law, not to accept sort of dirty money, we can say, right? The government wants to oversee that. And also there is, a fairness thing. Like when people get hacked, they want justice, they want their money back, right? This is where we help to return funds, to investigate. We support police departments with the investigation tools, education, so they can be aware of all the new threats, all the new money laundering techniques, mechanics, and how these fraudsters using it, how to stop them, how to trace the funds if they try to obfuscate that, and things like that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
a wide range of spectrum of people and companies we work with. Some of them are in trouble, like people that get hacked. Some of them are just doing their day-to-day activities and don't want any reputational or regulatory risk.
Yeah, makes sense. People seeking justice, and it's always a game of chasing after each other. And what inspired you or motivated you to become an entrepreneur?
Look, in general, entrepreneurship gives you that sort of freedom to implement your own ideas. In many cases, you just think, I'd do better. When you work for someone, you think, oh, I would probably can do this better, or we should go that direction. And I think everyone who thinks that way, even if that person works in my company, even like it should go and try himself as an entrepreneur and see the world from that point of view.
Yeah, everybody wants to try things on their own as well. So, and before that, what job or experience helped you the most in both the work you currently do and in general your role as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, cool. I mean, my education was in finance and in particular state finance. This was a very good background for me to understand the crypto and its relation to the monetary policies, to regulations that we have right now. I generally started like I first introduced myself in crypto probably back in 2011
Oh, wow.
when It was very, very early. I mean, the main theme was mining of crypto, and I've calculated my mining profitability, like a potential one. And I mean, I probably could earn like maybe $50 a month, but my graphics card could burn. And how do I play Counter-Strike then? It's like,
To balance
so,
your needs, yeah.
yeah, yeah, no, no, like you cannot do mining and Counter-Strike at the same time. So yeah, so I kind of skipped that at that point. But then 2016 came along. At that time, I had my own marketing agency, and it started to pop up. Like after Ethereum completed their first like ICO. I mean, the ICOs became a thing, and these ICOs, like the early ICOs, are not like the like now, probably we think of ICO, IDO, or something like that as a synonym to a word scam or something like
Yeah.
that, right? Or at least hype. Back in the day, like in 2016, it was like your Kickstarter, um, like a typical type of thing where you just raise in crypto. I mean, these projects were like collecting 20K, 40K, just trying new tech. Your
Not bad
advisors.
for. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, it's very, very small projects. And most of them, they will be like, oh, let's try to do that type of coin. Let's try to do that type of smart contract or something like that. And then also, the advisors or investors for the projects would be just your random dudes from Reddit. They all will be free, and in 2019, definitely that's all changed. And guys like McAfee or whatever you would think of a high level advisors would be
Mm.
asking you for like 30 BTC per Twitter post and things like that, right? So the market changed, but the introduction for the market for me was warm, and I was fascinated about the technology, how it is. I was fascinated about the community because back in the day, the trust was just the core of it, and
Mm.
everyone had trust to each other. You had no barriers to the CEOs of big exchanges or anything like that. So everyone was on the same boat, sometimes literally because the conference would be on a boat or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they were, I think, like the golden times of crypto. We all will be remembering when we get old.
Yeah, those were the well, days of innovation. Everything seemed energetic and young. And in terms of starting your company, did you need any financing, or and how do you currently make money in your business?
Yeah, I mean, the company sort of started naturally. There was even the funny story how we encountered our first government contract. But let me start from the like how we started the company. So
Sure.
in already like 2019, like late 2019, our marketing agency got acquired by a fintech project. It was one of the
Mm.
first, well, what you can call a DeFi right now, but it was like basically a crypto loans with Bitcoin as collateral type of project.
Mm.
And that project was doing well, but then the regulatory question was pretty hot at that point as well. Like a few governments already introduced some AML regulations. FATF was producing new guidelines. Banks would not already work with companies that don't have any licenses. So it was already pretty hot. And then, we were receiving a lot of collaterals and Bitcoin. So we were, checking what kind of money we receive as collateral. Like, is it a bad collateral? Maybe
Mm.
people are using us to launder money. It was scary. You don't want any sort of risks like that. And we were using some of the tools that were available in the market. And then we sort of, while using them, we kind of understood how you can trick them, like how you can still hide the real source of funds. And we had to do immense effort to really find the real source. And we started writing down our own scripts, our own visualization engines, our own blockchain parsing um, programs and things like that. And that's basically became the basis for Geo after that. So I literally pivoted from the fintech company and I founded Geo with other founders, by my long known long-term friends at that time already. And but it picked up very quickly. So there are many companies that had the same sort of worries as we had in a fintech project that, probably it is pretty easy to hide the real source of funds, and you have to be able to dig deep. Like back in the day, most of these tools they will only allow you to go 5 steps. Like you can trace 5 steps. Like the hackers know that. I mean, they can buy the tool as well. Like they would do 6 steps to sort of,
Yeah,
stay
always the cat
hidden.
and mouse. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but the tool that could go like 100 steps, 1,000 steps, whatever. Like that didn't have limit on steps. You shouldn't have limit on steps. And then some government agencies they started to know that we do this, and they started reaching out with requests. Sometimes it's because someone get hacked. One of the requests were pretty funny. The government, like the police, cyber police, they busted a carding site, like basically the website that would sell stolen credit card details.
Ah, okay.
And so they busted that marketplace, and they seized many of the like computers and different equipment. But one of the equipment they couldn't recognize, which was mining machines, like these ASIC miners. And so they came to us, and they came with a question. They say, "Look," they put that on the table. It was an offline meeting. And they like, "Look, we don't know what that is, but people say it's downloading money from the internet."
A
So,
machine to download money from the internet. Okay, that
well,
everybody wants that. Yeah, passive income.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think frankly, it's one of the best explanations of mining for a non-coiner, what we could say. Yeah, so that's how they
undoubtedly
got,
easy to understand. Yeah.
yeah, you just don't want money from the internet. That's a no-brainer. Yeah, and then, what we actually also realized is that it was the governments and law enforcement, police departments, even cyber police departments, they needed education in that sphere as well.
Hmm.
And this is how we started many engagements. We quickly picked up with United Nations Office of Drug Control and Crime. They had many programs in many different countries on educating law enforcement. So that was our first sort of sales strategy, right? We just educate many law enforcement to use our tool and solve real world cases with it, and then they could buy it for themselves and then train maybe other people or
Yeah.
rely on our
They,
help.
they got to a point where they knew a bit more than just downloading money from the internet.
Yeah.
They got into the details. Yeah.
Yeah, they got into like demixing and IP addresses analytics and,
Oh.
and things like that. Yeah. So there's a pro course for that, like a tracing through smart contracts and things like that. But yeah, so then the request from law enforcement, you know, sort of, I mean, they persisted, but then we had more requests, different like hype waves we have in crypto. We have different sort of requests, one of which was quite funny when there was this NFT craze.
Hmm.
I mean, I would change the request a little bit, but you can probably recognize something. So the guys came to us and they say $1 trillion Bay Club. That's what their company was named like a $1 trillion Bay Club.
Well, you
They
say
lo
$1 trillion, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. They said seeking to reclaim stolen two stolen bored monkeys NFTs worth $2 million. you know, so there are like requests like that also. Like every like hype cycle, we have very interesting things that you need to explain to the government and sometimes hear yourself as well. Yeah.
Yeah, fascinating. Yeah, crypto industry has undergone quite a few cycles, and I understand this pivot was quite successful, what you did back at that time. I want to ask you, what one piece of knowledge or information about your industry can you share that would benefit our listeners?
Well, I think I can share you one thing that we did recently. What we think is like no one really measured before. Like many people measures like, how many hacks it happened or what's the total amount of these hacks or something like that. What we try to measure is the speed of money laundering of these hacks.
Hmm.
Like how fast the money are going from labeled everywhere as hacked coins to cashing out at your closest exchange very quickly, and things like that. So And this is a very important question because as the person that is a victim of a hack, you
Hmm.
know how fast you need to react. As a person that talks to the police or as a police, you need how fast you need to react. As a regulator, you need to sort of understand what sort of guidelines you need to put. So the whole industry should know this number really. The average sort of speed of money laundering and the fastest speed of money laundering in a sense, right? So we took 120 hacks from the first part of 2025. This is where we just did the report, and we analyzed like how long it took from the money to move after the hack, how long it took for a company to report that hack, how long it took for the hacker to reach first sort of a money laundering point, whenever it's an exchange or a cross-chain bridge or something like that, and how long it took for them to move all the money through the money laundering cycle and eventually either cash out, either complicate the trail so hard you would need like a crazy pro and all sorts of on-chain, off-chain data already maybe like collected from exchanges and stuff like that to continue tracing. So basically, the average number we came up with is about 8.5 days. So
Oh, okay.
in general, if it's more than 8.5 days, in 50% of cases, the money already gone. So it's very
Yeah.
hard would be to you to sort of block them somewhere and try to return them that way. But the fastest case is actually almost like immediately. The answer is immediately. Like it's minutes in terms of time. So the hacker could, like some hackers, they literally even receive money on the wallet that is a deposit wallet on the exchange, so they can quickly cash out without being even like labeled or something,
Oh, wow.
which is another challenge for these exchanges to identify these things, receive these reports about what their wallets used that way and things like that. But what was interesting is that 1 out of 5 hacks was actually laundered before it was publicly reported or reported to the
Yeah.
police because
That's
some
what
of
I
these
wanted to
hacks.
ask you. There's an element of shame in reporting that you've been hacked, or?
Yeah. So I think some people just don't know whenever they should
Ah,
report.
okay.
Some companies they think that might damage their reputation more than the actual hack, or they can either they can quietly raise maybe funds now to sort of substitute for the loss, or they can go public and try to return the money and things like that. So in most cases, it's a combination of these factors of hesitation, fear. Maybe different parties will be battling. The CEO wants one thing, investors want another, and things like that. So we saw different cases. Um, but yeah. But that means your hesitation could lead to the fact that you are out of options. So in a sense, or I mean, in many cases, actually, even if there is no public hack, if it's an abnormal amount for your exchange, normally, even companies like us, we do have a sort of monitoring of these things where, some abnormal patterns or amounts or things happen to known entities. We sort of look it up a bit closely and maybe even label it as something unusual in the system.
You
So
can identify in advance. Or...
yeah, so your hack may still become public eventually, based on that. So what I would suggest is to report at least to the police. So you will already have tracing, and if money will be blocked somewhere, and just in general, like any exchanges, if someone reaching out to them, if that's police or someone that says the police is with me in that case, it is, they are much more reactive to that. They're much more responsive in terms of blocking the funds, collaborating with you and things like that. Because no one wants in any sort of problems or even reputational brand within the police departments and regulators that this exchange is not responsive in these sort of cases.
Hmm.
Some exchanges they actually have that reputation, and that led to regulatory actions against them. So
Yeah, and in any case, not to wait more than 8.5 days,
yeah,
but the faster the better, I assume. Yeah.
yeah. That's true.
Okay.
That's true.
So that's a good tip in this context of what you're doing. And maybe I would like to ask you for an advice about zooming out to the world of entrepreneurship. What advice would you give to somebody starting out as an entrepreneur from your experience?
Uh, Look, I know I can tell you what maybe you need to do as an entrepreneur in crypto, right?
Mm, sure.
In crypto, you need to understand. I mean, I can tell you as a company that labeled more than 92,000 companies, and we know their business models. How many wallets they have, what are their users, where they're coming from, and things like that. It is very important thing that in crypto you understand that there's this sort of front-facing brand of crypto. Sometimes
Mm,
some which may look even bad, but there is a back-facing, of crypto. Many industries have the same. Many industries have the same. Financial industry in general is have that sort of
right.
dualism in it. And in crypto, sometimes business models, when you plan for them, they just might not work as you expect. Like I can give you a very simple example. Like during some of the hype cycles, exchanges actually didn't earn that much from actually receiving commissions from transaction fees, but
Mm.
they earned more from listing new coins,
Ah,
in a sense, or supporting the launches and things like that. So that was the part of the business model. And many of the business models that we review in order to understand what is going on chain, uh, they don't seem to be what they are. When you look on them from the outside, or from when you sort of see people on stage and talking about them and things like that, right? Now, I think, like, if I can give you any advice where to look at, I think stablecoins and international trade is the particular business model where there is a very big movement and a very big change, and this potentially can be very disruptive for the banking system, because international payments in stablecoins, they're way, way faster than anything the banking system can offer. And the banking system will never be able to offer anything better, because naturally your local currency is the currency in your country. In order to leave the country, it has certain controls where crypto
right.
don't have that control, so they cannot compete with you on that. And we see the companies that are growing pretty fast in that sphere. So this is where, again, the main business model may not be the transaction fees, or just the transaction fees for the international transfer, but this is a very interesting part of the industry that I think will be growing. And it should be, because again, like, if you think about Bitcoin, many of the things for Bitcoin is a front-facing thing, and the reality is very different. Let's say we've been promised that we will have a currency for payments, for peer-to-peer operations.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like, but the literal white paper starts like a pure peer-to-peer system, blah blah. But we don't have that. Like, no one does peer-to-peer transactions. No one runs Bitcoin node at home. We still need to have third party whenever it's an exchange that is running the node, or it's a wallet application that's running the node, and the actual mining community is the third party that confirms the transactions for us, and we still pay them commission. Sometimes, especially in particular, like a small transactions, the relative commission could be even higher than the banking system. And the payments thing just don't happen in Bitcoin. Like, people don't pay for goods. Like, you don't buy your laptop with Bitcoin. You don't buy your groceries with Bitcoin. I mean, you can do something like a crypto card where it's converting to fiat before the actual payment, but you don't do actual
Yeah.
payment. Like, we didn't have, when we were switching to a banking system, we didn't have you pay with cash, but it converts to gold or
Right.
shells on
No,
the
gold
way, right?
was just abandoned. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you have to abandon that. And these payments in international trade would be a very good use case, because right now the payments only happen in two parts of the industry. It's either iGaming, like your crypto
Mm.
casinos, that would be the top one by payments, or it's darknet, which is
Yeah.
actually not a good sign, in a sense,
Yeah.
because all sorts of bad things happening in darknet uh,
Yeah, but at
today.
some point we could see adoption also in more day-to-day uses for people. I mean, for that's the hope.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, I'd like to shift a bit from the Bitcoin world, which can be everywhere in any country, a bit to how you are, where you are. You're based in Marbella in the south of Spain. I'm sure the weather is nicer than here in Barcelona. So how does the entrepreneurial environment look now in Marbella?
Yeah, it's I think it's very close to what crypto industry have. Like you have this front-facing part and you
Hmm.
have a backdrop. So interestingly, if you just walk down the streets or you try to find some events or you just want to have that Silicon Valley vibe, you will not find it here. I mean, for that you probably better go like Lisbon and Berlin and places like that, where in terms of like closed door events, even just like golf courses, you can find many founders actually living here. They live, they have like a small parties, small events. Maybe literally it's not even an event, it's just a bar crawl or something like that, just
Ah,
where people might pitch startups and things like that. So it's much more a direct communication type of thing. Marbella itself, like I'm now in the pool, which is actually a very good try for Marbella to, very good chance for Marbella to be a sort of a startup hub because some of the events are actually happening here.
ah,
And many of the founders, they starting come out of their normal shell, actually, and show up in places like this. And this is where the community becomes a bit more sort of public, switching from the private type of society you have here in Mobile.
okay. So it's opening up a bit, becoming a
Yeah,
bit more like other
yeah.
places. So let's say I move now, or somebody else moves to Marbella, not knowing anybody. Well, now I know you, but how would you start to gain traction as an entrepreneur?
I don't think you can do this. Like,
No, no, you can't switch something on. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's. I mean, literally. I mean, you can probably just get membership in like a tennis paddle club or
Mm,
a very good gym or something like that. Just try to get some networking, or like a golf club or something.
mm,
But in general, this is not the place where you would do like this heavy networking. It's not Dubai. It's not Lisbon. It's not like Berlin. It's not Singapore or any of these places. It's not London. So in this case, there's actually like still less companies. There's less desire to be public in many senses.
mm,
And yeah, so but you still have a very good logistics. So you still 1 hour. There's 1 hour flight to Lisbon. There's a 1 hour drive to Gibraltar, where there is actually a pretty cool community and
mm. Gaming
regulators.
industry. Mm,
Yeah, 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 yeah. And yeah, so the ETH event, how's it called? Forgot about that. It was actually like in Nice, France, which is also a couple hours flight. So logistically wise, it's a good place. Weather wise, even cost of living wise, it's actually a great place to be. But it's not a heavy networking type of entrepreneurial community building place for now, what I
yeah.
think.
At least not now. Okay. Um, like to move on to other things in general about success and challenge and how do you define success? How do you celebrate your wins, your successes?
Okay. Uh, wow. It's a very good question. Probably I'd never asked that myself. I mean, I would define success as if you planned something and we achieved what we wanted to achieve. I mean, since we're planning all the time a bit more optimistically, achieving something means like a real success. That means like we overdone ourselves. And we try to celebrate success with like certain events, or you have to put some sort of some sort of anchors for you to remember that success. Maybe it's a thing you buy for yourself. Maybe it's an event you do in the company. Maybe it's a bonus everyone shares, or something like that, right? So, but for us, since we plan most of the milestones we want to achieve, the success will be actually achieving those milestones.
Yeah.
And sometimes some milestones they might be unexpected, and then we actually need to celebrate that. We never actually did, but sometimes you just find yourself like in a top five in the world, and then you're like, oh, we never planned for that, but by different metrics that we can see, okay, we are now at the top five blockchain-based company in the world by like number of clients, number of government agencies we're working with, number of money we earn, and things like that. We're like, oh, okay, like it's a good sign. Never had that in like milestones, good news for investors, and things like that. Like some of these milestones, like capitalization growth or something like that, they just may come unexpectedly. And yeah, we need to change. We need to celebrate that
Yeah, yeah, go ahead and celebrate. Yeah.
actually.
But I agree that sometimes we set goals that are a bit too far, and I think that in objective key results in OKR planning, if you reach 70%, then it's already good enough. I mean, that's the unwritten
Yeah,
rule, but and if you make it to 100%, it's definitely worth the celebration.
yeah.
So, yeah, let's move to the other side of it. How do you deal with fear or doubt? What is your sort of self-talk? How do you get out of these situations?
Uh, Yeah, I don't know. Again, like as a Ukrainian that had to execute business continuity plan when the war started and stuff like that.
Oh,
In many of these cases, I mean, our business continuity plan didn't work as planned from
oh.
like day one. Like, like what we expected to happen, even though many of us were like from Donbass and these areas where, we already seen something. Everything was different, and the reaction of people we were relying on in many cases were all also different than we
Mm,
expected. And so these things you just sort of uh, you have that long-term and short-term planning, and you adjust your planning based on the situation. You need to quickly react to, like, you have to be extremely, extremely adaptive in these like extreme scenarios, because not to lose your investors, not to lose your clients, not to lose your employees in
mm.
a situation where like our office was in Kharkiv, Ukraine before the
Yeah.
war started. This is where
Second
like
city. Hmm.
yeah, and yeah, so I think what helped us at that point is like very high adaptivity to the situation that we faced. Yeah, that's probably how we deal with that.
Yeah. Okay. And some things you need, well, as you said, you need to adapt and sometimes quickly. And I want to ask you about routines, things that you do have a bit more anchored, routines to start your day, for example.
Uh, yeah, I have a little child, so for me, the day starts in like a very short dead mode, and then and then a dog owner mode a little bit, and then it just transfers to like the CEO mode. So in many senses, I think before the dog and the child, you can plan a little bit more in that sense. But after that, I mean, I actually enjoyed the dad mode. A bit less enjoying the dog owner mode. I mean, I like the dog. I just don't like the obligations coming with that. Well, child is no obligations. It's always the happiness and to play, to teach her something, and see just how she's going. It's pretty cool. So for me, to be honest, like in with these three modes, there are no routines. Like I have routines in the company that are pretty strict. Like we have
Ah,
meetings, plannings, retros, weekly, monthly, quarterly, all these things. that are pretty strict, and we always like we draw the whole process. We see, we critique the process, we crash test the thing, we optimize, we reduce, all that stuff. We try to boil down things to the point where we understand what's missing or what is holding us or where's the bottleneck. All these things are like over optimized. But in my personal life, yeah, I'd like to stay away from that, I think, with all the modes that I have.
Yeah, so very strict or optimized or organized in your work, but and life is a bit more fluid.
Yeah, yeah, it's a bit more like go with the flow.
That's your sort of yeah. Yeah, well, if your child needs you, it's that's what you're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
do.
There's
So
nothing you can plan for that. Like it's
yeah.
yeah.
And apart from caring for your family and the CEO role, which is of course very demanding, what are your favorite activities in Marbella when you have time for other stuff?
Oh well, I got my pilot license
Oh
last year.
wow.
So this is like having a rides with friends or family members. I mean, it's actually pretty cheap in terms of the rent. And I started during COVID in terms of like learning about the craft. My wife gifted me like joysticks to fly simulators on the PC during COVID. That's the only way you can travel, right?
Yeah.
During that time. And these simulators, they go very good. And one of them, they had like instructions for the airplanes. And one of the instructions was about 700 pages long. And
Wow.
so you sort of learn all the systems, all the buttons, and all the procedures and stuff like that. And then when I learned it, I was like, oh well, like if I did that for a game, maybe I can bump up the realism a little bit more and go to the real school, right? And yeah, in terms of like rent, it's I don't know, it's maybe like 250 euros an hour, and you only pay for the flight hours, so you don't sort of pay when the airplane just sits there on the runway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so and it's actually not that hard, and it's very, very rewarding. So you can see the same places you've been just from a very, very different angle. You basically travel in 3D. When you travel in the
Yeah.
car, it's like a 2D travel. You just travel into that sort of flat
Yeah,
space.
yeah. Like the difference between speaking to you now online, you're in 2 dimensions. We see each other 2 dimensions, and meeting face to face 3 dimensions. So
Yeah,
when you
yeah, yeah.
fly up there,
Yeah, it's sort of like that. You can fly up there, you can fly between the mountains,
oh
you can
wow.
see the lake, you can go there. Like on these small airplanes, you are very free on what you can do. Like you should not go close to the airports, and there are some r rules and places like military bases where you should not overfly. But uh, other than that, it is actually pretty free, and you can see what you want, go as close as you want, things like that. Yeah.
I'm so jealous. Yeah, I should get one as well. If you weren't doing what you do now with Global Ledger, would you become a pilot? Would that be your alternative profession?
Well, I wouldn't become like an airline pilot. I think this
Mm.
one is very, very, responsibility wise, it is, a very demanding job. And also, you spend a lot of time, far away from the family. Probably this one is not for me, but I probably could do something in aviation. I don't know, like maybe I could sell jets. I don't know, but to be honest, like for me, it would be the best second job would be just to see different airplanes, learn about them, maybe show them to different people or something like that. I don't know. Maybe it's maybe build an airplane or
Oh, oh,
something in relation to that. Yeah, yeah, maybe something like that.
and occasionally fly for fun, like you do now,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess. What two words would you use to describe yourself, Lex?
Oh my gosh. Uh, Demanding and creative. I know, demanding to the employees and creative with adaptiveness to life and approach to business and things like that. I mean, yeah, I think I said demanding first because I think this is how a lot of my colleagues would describe me as well.
Okay, well, at least you're aware of how people see you, or
Yeah.
so that means maybe you're not as demanding because you have a reflection of that.
No, no, no. I'm very demanding. I'm like,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
And what keeps you up at night, if anything?
Ideas.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think maybe it's just from my standpoint, but I think many people have that, right? When you try to sleep and you couldn't, and what you think about is probably the answer to the question you asked is, I mean, ideas about what we can do with the global ledger, ideas on just crypto as a technology as a whole. I mean, to be honest, I'm fascinated by the technology. It's pretty cool how it works, the reliability of it, the fact that it's now considered as a reserve currency. For me, the journey from it to be like almost a marginal society that everyone was thinking it's a drug dealer's money and things like that, to the point where we say, yeah, we have to do a crypto reserve in the US. And this is all thanks to technology, thanks to what Satoshi did with convincing people about that technology. Not only did he write the code, right, but there's a very interesting book called "Kicking the Hornet's Nest" about actual emails. Like it's a collection of emails that Satoshi sent to the first Bitcoin adopters, like how he convinced them and how actually hesitant they were to actually even try to install Bitcoin on their computer.
Ah,
This is actually the whole story of all the messages Satoshi ever sent on any forum or any email or anything like that. It's pretty cool. We were doing a research on Satoshi wallets and we were cross-verifying with the emails just to see how these transactions on chain could be verified to be Satoshi transactions from the conversations he had or Twitter posts someone made and things like that.
oh,
And it's pretty cool, like the way it works. I mean, when I joined um, the the party, I would say, with the crypto. I actually tried to hack it. I did, and the way I did it, I was the first thing you learn is that in crypto, your actual like wallet ID, right, your wallet public key, is generated from your private key, which is sort of your password, right? So in email, you can change your password, but you can still keep the same email. In Bitcoin, the email is sort of generated from your password and it's not, you cannot change anything. So the
it's for
first
life.
idea was, look, that sounds very unsafe. This is where first, like, first clients were offered to pay in Bitcoin. They offered us to receive Bitcoin for the contract. And I was like, look, sounds very unsafe. Like you can just try different passwords, generate wallet IDs from them, and then see if there's some money on these wallet IDs. And it's still the case. You can sort of do that, right? Uh,
Hmm.
and that sounded very unsafe. And I wrote a program that was back in the day using a GPU to generate about 16 million passwords a second,
Wow.
uh, and then to see if there's money on the wallets that are generated from these passwords. So I ran it for a month and nothing. I checked the program was valid and it was all good. And the test wallets I embedded in the blockchain with my own money, it sort of found it, but
You
it
try to
never.
hack yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you do that just to verify that the
Testing. Yeah.
program works correctly, and but no one else wallets were found, and I'm like, what's going on? Why is that? And then I wrote like additional part of the program which would calculate the probability of me guessing any of the real wallets. By the way, I didn't try to hack everyone. I just took the list of what's called the zombie wallets. This is like
Hmm.
Bitcoins from the very old era, some which are Satoshi coins and things like that.
Treasure hunt. Yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, old forgotten treasure hunt. And I ran it for a couple months, and then it said, okay, with that speed of 16 million passwords a second, you need about 140 million years to reach 0.1% probability. So I was like, okay, like 140 million years. That sounds very safe, actually.
Well, in geological terms, it's slow, but yeah, for our lifetime is not that long. Not yet,
Yeah,
at least, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's how I was like, okay, that was my first point of fascination, and then it only to do, with smart contracts and stuff like that.
Yeah. You mentioned this book with Satoshi's emails, and are there any other books or podcasts or anything that you can recommend that things that you use?
Yeah, we have to be honest, in GL we have a library of these things. Like depends on the department, you would receive your own sort of set of books and maybe it's like our own courses on blockchain technology and stuff. I think if you want to build something on Bitcoin or you just want to learn technology very deep, I would recommend the book that is called Mastering Bitcoin. This is the book that allowed me to write that program on guessing Bitcoin passwords and things like that. So it kind of guides you through the technology, how it works from the inside, with very cool insights about security, about the actual like tech, how the wallets are generated. Can you generate a wallet with your name in it? Yes, and I definitely did that back in the day when I just learned about that, right? Many of these things are sort of forgotten, and this is, I think, mastering Bitcoin. And then there was a follow-up, mastering Ethereum, that can really get you into the nitty-gritty. Even if you're not a developer, you can skip the parts with the code. The actual like there's some history parts or just curious to know parts where it is actually a pretty cool thing. And aside from that, I always recommend, I think, like if you just getting introduced to crypto, if you start career in the industry, it's very cool, and they aged as wine. Videos in YouTube with Last Week Tonight show with John Oliver. He has two
Ah,
episodes on crypto, and they aged like brilliantly because in the first episode, he, for example, mentions EOS, which definitely
ah.
did, like, back in the day it was big hype, but at the time when he was mentioning that, and he was very skeptical about that, definitely EOS is, I mean, it's kind of dead. And in the second episode, it was totally like about FTX, about Terra Luna, about all these like projects that were very problematic like a couple years ago and led to a very
Yeah.
long bear market that we had. So and it's like the humor, the mentions of like very old memes of the industry, like BitConnect and things like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
It's actually pretty cool. So it's a very also good introduction into the like very early memes and the biggest problems in the industry here.
Yeah. If
That
you want
was pretty
to
cool.
get a bit of the culture also around it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You mentioned Ethereum. I think that founder Vitalik Buterin, he spent some time also here in Spain, in Manresa, if I'm not mistaken. Well,
I don't know
maybe.
about that, but if he
Oh,
does, we need
yeah.
to get some paella then.
Yeah, okay. So, is there any advice you've received maybe recently? We talked before about different kinds of advice, but something that you can pass on to entrepreneurs in Marbella, in Spain, in Europe?
Oh, uh, I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe it's very hard to pass someone's advice because normally you
Mm,
receive advice on your specific problem.
got it.
So if I can, I'll skip on that.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. And okay, so final question. How can listeners get hold of you? Is there anything you would like to add before you leave us today?
Yeah, I mean, my email, if you want to get contacted by me, is alex@globalledger.io. If you ever need help with an investigation, I can quickly reroute you to our brilliant and fast investigations team. If you are crypto exchange that just need to cut costs and increase speed on your compliance, just drop me a line. I'll arrange you the best consultant for that question. We also launched a sort of a sub-brand called Satoshi I. The website is actually satoshii.com. And
Hmm.
this is a sort of a fun part of the business where we can work directly with end consumers, like with people that are trading at crypto exchanges. So anyone can receive report, basically as we call like a almost a CIA level report for like
Oh,
50,
wow.
50 cents. So you would see what governments see on the blockchain in a sense. Or what a big bank would see in a blockchain, but in a very simple form, very cheap, very fast. You can get that. So it's called satoshi.com. We can send you maybe a QR code that you can show to the guys if that is a technical possibility. So there will be like a few free checks for them to try it out. So you can try
Oh,
your own
that's a nice
wallet.
gesture. Hmm.
Yeah, you can see if you have any money from Satoshi era, or if you can see if you have anything from Darknet. The both probabilities are there. So
Hmm.
anyone can check that. Uh, we're
Yeah,
trying
maybe.
to democratize these kind of things.
Yeah, that's a noble goal, and yeah, I mean, I've been fascinated by how you tie. I mean, Bitcoin has been around for 16 years. It was recently the foundation day, or it was founded in 2009, and it's fascinating to see how things that began then are still relevant today.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much, Lex, for coming to the show. I've learned a lot. I enjoyed this a lot, and I'm sure our listeners will as well. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you, man.